asked for it, so don't cry for me, Argentina. I'm really excited to be here and be in this situation as nowhere else I'd rather be. And I'm really excited about what's going on. And again, this platform, as to echo what the governor's saying, I think to have hundreds of thousands of people in town and a worldwide TV audience and all the drone shots they're going to see of all the skyscrapers, new and old, and all the things that are happening here, I think it's going to change that perception for decades to come.
Peter, I'll ask this to you as the outsider, the non-Michigander on this panel. What is it about Detroit and Michigan that makes this an attractive place for events like the NFL draft?
You'll be happy to know my wife's family lives in Troy, so I have connections. Got a little street cred. First, I want to just say thank you to everybody here, because this partnership is a special one. We come to a lot of cities, but this is just an incredibly special partnership. I also want to say happy Draft Eve. This is Draft Eve. We call it that, and it all starts tomorrow. But we were drawn to this city by two things, and obviously the Lions are central to that. But to me, a successful event and a big event at this scale takes vision and takes partnership. And there was incredible vision going back 7 years, the first conversations that we started to have around that with Visit Detroit, with the Lions, with the folks at Bedrock, thinking about how could this come to life. And the beauty of the draft is, unlike a Super Bowl or a regular season game or a playoff game, it doesn't live within a stadium. It lives within the city, and the city is a character in the draft, literally. So in that vision of how this could be woven into the heart of downtown Detroit and brought to life with 50 million plus people watching, that vision caught our attention and is now being brought to life literally downtown. And then it takes partners, and it takes partners who work seamlessly, and public and private working together. And we felt that from day one. Our partners in the city, they got it, they thought big, and they wanted to bring big ideas to life. So that's what brought us to where we are today, which we're incredibly excited about.
Councilman, the city's hot right now, right? We had March Madness a couple weeks ago. We had SummerSlam last August. Annual shows like the Auto Show, the Grand Prix, Movement. What is it about this renaissance in Detroit? What do you think is sparking that?
Well, I think a lot of it is just leadership, starting from the top on down. We have all come together and said we are invested in rebuilding this city. And we work in conjunction with the county. We work in conjunction with the state. Shout out to Governor Whitmer, who's done an amazing job and kept a focus on Detroit and helping us get funding down here. And Claude is the hardest working man in Detroit. So, but when we talk about public-private partnerships as well, it helps put the word out. And I think what's sparking the renaissance of what you're seeing, I refer to it as the phoenix rising from the ashes, is basically just that spirit. Our folks, our hardworking folks. We hear grit when we talk about the Lions, right? But it's starting to resonate across the country. You saw it with the Lions, and the entire country was rooting for the Lions because Detroit is just that strong city. And so we're changing the stigma here. Detroit is safe. Detroit is clean. Detroit is open. We invite you to visit. Detroit has strong neighborhoods and strong families. And so I think changing that stigma and producing a positive narrative for the city has been great and helped move us forward.
Governor, you alluded to it that we've had some tough times, but when did you start to feel the shift for the city?
Well, I lived down here in Detroit when I was in law school, and there were evenings where you could shoot a cannon down a road and you wouldn't hit anyone, no one would even hear it, and to come down here for one of the playoff games and just feel how the city was vibrating. I mean, it's just a totally different experience. I know my dad worked in the city of Detroit for a long time, loved this city, saw the ups and downs, and I think it's always important to remember that at the end of the day, this city thrives or not based on how the people of the city are doing. And that's why I think all of the different ways that we've tried to create opportunities for people, whether it's the youngest Detroiters who are in our schools or people that are looking to start a business or to look for a great job, the center of the work's always got to be about the people. And the strength of a community, the strength of a city, or the strength of a state depends on the strength of the people that call it home. So there's so much creative activity, culture, and arts that are happening down here on top of all the other obvious strengths that we have that I think it's really exciting. But we've seen this continue to build. And certainly the pandemic was a little bit of a setback, but we are continuing that trajectory, and we're more motivated than ever to throw our foot on the accelerator.
Peter, I want to ask this to you. The NFL teams and cities are always vying for these types of opportunities. What did Detroit do to distinguish itself as a place that you want to have an event like this?
I think it's some of what I said before and what the governor was just saying about the vibrancy that we felt in this city, the momentum we felt. And yes, sports momentum. Obviously, when we awarded this draft, we didn't know the Lions would be coming off an NFC championship.
We did.
I'm sure you did, yes. I respect that prognostication. We didn't know Michigan was going to win the national championship, and we have the intersection of college football. You did. But even without knowing that, though you did, we saw the way this city was so vibrant. We saw, yes, the sports, but also the point on the culture, the food, the arts, because people think about the NFL draft, but if you're down there these next 3 days, this experience, this festival, if you will, is going to represent all parts of Detroit. Taste of Detroit, all of those components, the art, the elements, the music across these 3 days is going to be all authentically Detroit. So that we felt that vibrancy. And frankly, we felt the preparation, because preparation is key. And going back a good number of years, folks from Visit Detroit, the mayor, others were visiting previous drafts and soaking it in. I remember last year in Kansas City sitting in a very detailed presentation that a mayor would typically not sit in, and he was sitting in absorbing every element to soak up how we can bring that to life in Detroit. And that just showed us the focus on preparation and the focus on getting it right, and that stood out. So now let's do it.
We mentioned the large crowds that'll be down here, but Claude, what does this mean for the people of this city? Right, this is a showcase of who we are, what opportunities are here. What does it mean for those who live here?
I think it's going to be fantastic for the people that live here. Again, only Detroit has all 4 major league sports teams located right in the heart of downtown. Only Las Vegas, London, and New York City have more theater seats than Detroit has in a downtown city. We've got, the attendance that we bring to events. The NCAA wrestling was here coming out of the pandemic, set new records. SummerSlam that you mentioned set new records. I mean, and sure, everyone's selling out Taylor Swift, but we're also selling out Morgan Wallen and country acts in Ford Field. I mean, so first it starts with, the huge attendance that our community brings to the fore. And then I think that, again, Detroit's got a pride that's going on. And you had mentioned, when you saw the things, the tide turn on the thoughts about Detroit. When I first moved to Detroit in 2011, I'd say, people say, where are you from? I'd say Detroit. It's like, oh, so sorry. And then right around 2017, 2018, it became like, ooh, I'm hearing stuff about you guys. You're like the Brooklyn. I'm hearing in Washington Post, the New York Times, they're all writing about you. And, this week, Wall Street Journal wrote a great article about how Detroit is on the rise. And so I think all these things, it gives a platform to show just what a dynamic, amazing city and region and state that we have here.
Councilman, I'll ask you the same thing. Being from here, what does it mean for you as a resident?
And Governor Whitmer alluded to it. I'm born and raised here. Grew up here, served as a state representative. My dad served as a state representative here, just deeply involved in public service, but community. Been here my whole life. And I remember coming downtown after 5 p.m. And no one was around. I remember 2006, we hosted the Super Bowl right here. And a lot of people don't know the buildings they saw had tarps on them, and there were facades. And if you look around right now, there are no facades on these buildings. This is development coming here to our city. This is investment coming here to our city. But I think it means a lot more to our residents. We have the Detroit versus everybody mantra. I stick to it. I'm born and raised from Detroit. We throw the other surrounding communities in there, Metro Detroit or whatnot. But what I will say is, for the community, it is that sense of pride. That now when you go other places and folks are saying they want to come to Michigan, they want to come to Detroit. Last year, 2023, we broke a record for the most visits here in the city of Detroit. We're going to break that in a couple days, obviously, again. But I think it just shows the momentum that we're on, and we're just going to keep climbing.
Our restaurants are packed. Our hotels are packed this week. How do we build on the economic momentum that we have right now? How do we maximize the economic impact of this weekend, Governor?
Well, I think we've thrown our foot on the accelerator. You know, a lot of the things that we are doing is paying off dividends, but a lot of the investments we make, we don't see immediately. This celebration, as has been mentioned, started 7 years ago, and it took a lot of partnership and work. And I think that's got to be our mindset. How can we make sure that this continues to be a movement instead of a moment? And whether it is ensuring we outcompete other states as we look at economic development opportunities, or we continue the investment in our neighborhoods and in public safety, all of these things add up to create a community that is worthy of hosting the draft and is worthy of the people who call it home. And, you know, I think that we've made a lot of great strides, but we can't let up for a second. No one else is. And so we got to move as fast, if not faster, than anyone else.
Claude, what is the economic impact of this week?
Well, we anticipate it's going to be between 175 and 200 million dollars. And you know, when you look at the investment we've made, it's basically about $10 million. And I'd make that trade every day for a week, you know, on end if we could do that. And to, you know, piggyback onto what the governor was just saying, I think there is a cost to host these events. Now, the ROI is obvious, and states like Texas and California and Ohio and Indiana are dominating, you know, hosting these major events. And so, you know, we work with the legislators in Lansing, and we're really hoping that we can put forward a revolving large special event fund so that we can continue to build on these events. Because if we don't, you know, when we were booking, you know, even coming for the Final Four, which we were able to get, the questions they had were, where's your hotel rooms and where's your money coming from? And we're like, here's what our hotel situation is going to be in 2027. Our money, we're going to get there. And they kind of took a risk with us. But, you know, even we have a joke at the Bureau. We say, we're afraid we won't get it, and we're terrified we will, because then we have to pay for it. And that takes fundraising. You just can't go to the corporate community and constantly say, come on, you guys got to pitch in. I think it's got to be a state effort, and that's why we're working very hard with the legislature to enact this type of revolving fund so that we can constantly attract these major events to the state of Michigan.
Peter, you alluded to the Kansas City draft last year. That was kind of a unique way to do the draft. What did you learn from that, and what advice would you give to the city after this weekend of kind of how to capitalize on the momentum that we have?
Yeah, I think clearly you're doing all the right things. The momentum is there, and we just hope to be a part of that momentum. And I think it's not as though we're coming in and leaving. Like, we're in the Lions, part of this community, and we'll be for the long haul. So a big focus of ours, which I appreciated how much our partners here were leaning into it, was thinking beyond the draft. This isn't just coming in for 3 days and then headed out. It was about, we talked about this before, the legacy piece of it. How do you think about what lives beyond the great investments made by the local organizing committee to reach incredible children's programs, Beyond Basics, Project Play, those programs, to create a network of suppliers and vendors in this community, especially diverse suppliers and vendors who we could help bring together and rally around a big event, and then have that network, not only the contracts they get, but the relationships and the network that then will carry forward for the next big event you host. That's part of our DNA. That's what we do whenever we go anywhere for a big event like the draft or Super Bowl. The more you can build on that, then you've got the muscle memory for how to do it. You've got that, what we call teammates, the group who rallies around it, and then that community of small businesses who not only see the benefit, but then can be even more prepared for that when that next big event comes to town. So I would recommend continuing to lean into that.
I'm sure if you guys have a good experience, a Super Bowl might be under consideration in the future.
My answer would be, let's crush the next 3 days.
Fair enough. Good answer. Good answer. Well, Claude, I'll ask you this, though. How does the city determine what large events might be a good fit for it?
Well, I think it starts with whether or not we can actually, you know, have the infrastructure in place to host it. So, you know, if it's going to be they need 18,000 seat arena, you know, we've got that. If we need 60,000 seat stadium, we've got that. If they need 8,000 hotel rooms downtown, I don't have that. You know, and so we have to look at that part. And, you know, do we have the convention center? You know, we have the 16th largest convention center in North America, so we can host almost every event from a size-wise. But if we don't have enough hotel rooms to do it, and people are like, say, well, we'll shuttle you out to the 45,000 in the suburbs. Like, yeah, no thanks. We want to be able to walk to the center. So that's really the critical part: is do we have what it takes to get it? And then the second part is there going to be a cost for it, and how much, is it worth? And you put the ROI together. And someone asked recently, what are you going to do after the draft? And I was like, well, we have clients from Europe coming in on Sunday and about 60 other RFPs currently going around. So, it's never stop. You're hunting for business all the time. And certainly, but it does, we are blessed that we have a lot of infrastructure in place that makes us attractive to other places. Our Achilles heel right now is that hotels, but as you'll be seeing in the near future, we're going to be talking about a lot more hotel rooms.
We'll take some questions from the audience, but before we do, I just want to go down the line and ask each of you, what are you most excited for about this weekend? Governor?
I can't wait to see who Sheila and Dan and team pick.
Fair enough. We all are. Claude?
I'm hoping we break an attendance record here, and I can't wait to see the corporate, Campus Marshes and Cadillac Square and Woodward Avenue just jammed with people everywhere.
Peter?
I'd love that attendance record. That'd be awesome. There's so much focus on tomorrow night. That's the glitz and the big picks. Day 3 on Saturday is actually my favorite day of the draft. It's that incredible kind of family festival environment where you can come down and experience it. Hopefully the powerful people on this stage can shoo the rain away on Saturday. But Saturday is really it's such a family feel, and all of the elements and the food, and just a fun environment. So ending on a great note and making sure that we go all the way to the end and all the way through Mr. Irrelevant and the concert at the end to create something special. So just the imprint of this draft is incredibly strong and positive.
Councilman?
I think I just look forward towards the opportunity. When we talk about the opportunity for minority businesses, we talk about the opportunity for our neighbors to come down here, because the draft is free and open to everyone. I'm looking forward to that. He talked about family. I'd love to see just a lot of our children have the ability to come down here, have that total draft experience. I was joking with him. We first met with them about the draft. They said it's going to be like an amusement park. I said, we hear that all the time, until they blocked off Jefferson. And took it all the way to Campus Marsh and said, wow, this is a real experience. And so I'm looking forward to just seeing the smiles on our residents' faces.
Do we have some questions from the audience? Well, this is the easiest you guys have ever had.
Definitely for me.
Go ahead, Caleb.
All right. You kind of alluded to it earlier, misconceptions about the city of Detroit. Let's say someone, you're from Port Huron, not too far away, let's say even further outstate, people who have not been to Detroit 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago. How do you combat some of the misconceptions about public safety? How do you misconceptions about parking? And like there's a lot of reasons people will give to not come to Detroit. How do you combat that?
Well, one of the ways I would say is show them some news articles. When you talk about our chief of police visiting the White House with President Biden, because we have one of the lowest homicide rates in 30 years. When you talk about our parking here, which has gotten a lot better, we're not operating on nickels and dimes anymore, but we're expanding our infrastructure here. When you talk about real estate, I heard the Wall Street Journal mention property values here in the city of Detroit are higher than Miami right now. And so those type of things are indicative of a city that is coming back and welcoming to everyone. Folks not even that far as Port Huron, but some folks who live in Macomb County. I ran into someone a few weeks ago. Says, I haven't been down here in 20 years. I'm like, really? You're only 15 minutes away. And we invited them to a Pistons game. And they came down here and they said, oh my God, I can't believe what is going on. So I think it's just indicative upon everyone here as well to keep spreading that story. The narrative is so very important for the city of Detroit. Got to say nice things about the city of Detroit.
And the only thing I'd add, and then I want Claude to, back clean up here, because he's the best spokesman for the city of Detroit with all the incredible stuff that's going on. But I think inviting people in, right? That's why hosting is so important. When someone comes in and gets the opportunity to see it with their own eyes and experience or have a phenomenal meal or cultural activity or taking a concert or a sporting event. It's undeniable what's happening here. And so people, like I said, operate with old notions, and that's why we got to be the best ambassadors we can be. It's also why we got to host events like this to invite people and to see it with their own eyes. It's powerful.
Yeah, in the last 3 years, since I've joined the Bureau, we've been very deliberate about making sure we bring meeting planner events here. So like 3 years ago, we had 1,200 meeting planners. Last year, we had 500 meeting planners from a scientific organizations. This summer, we're hosting the Professional Conference Meeting Association with 1,500 meeting planners. So you get them here first, and they're like, I'm so shocked. I'm so surprised. I had no idea. It's like, I don't know what you'd expect, but we're hosting you here. And then they then think, you know what, this is a great opportunity. Then they bring their event, which then brings another 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 people. And you just have that spread on effect that it continues to build. And so every day that we host another event here, bring more people here, they change their perception. And that's really the most important thing, is we got to switch that narrative. And again, this draft itself, I think that's going to add a huge add-on for us.
Hi, I'm Amber Lewis. I'm a native Detroiter here. We talked about economic impact and the numbers of people who are coming out, but I want to know what you want people to walk away feeling like. I think emotion is a big topic. You talked about changing the narrative, but what do you want people who are coming to Detroit to feel during the draft and the energy in the city and walk away knowing about our city?
Well, I want them to feel like it's a world-class city. You don't have to go to Atlanta. You don't have to go to Miami, even though it's a little bit warmer there right about now. But I want them to have that pride in their city and feel proud. Apathy is a real thing sometimes. And based off of some history and some challenges we've had and we've come out of, I want folks to walk away saying, wow, we here in the city of Detroit hosted one of the largest sporting events in the country, right here in the city of Detroit. So we want them to walk away with that sense of pride.
I want people to walk away inspired and excited about what's happening here. And, I don't know how many of you know people from Texas, but they are insufferable. I don't care what part of the political spectrum they're on. They all brag about Texas. And one of the greatest things about Michiganders is we're humble. It is a good thing. It's why people think that we're kind and we work hard and we're not all about drama. And yet we got to do a better job telling our own story. We got reasons to be, having swagger and showing people like this is the place to be. And so that's why, as I say, we want to invite people in. We want to make sure that we are all ambassadors and telling the story, and that this is a place that is welcome to, we make it welcome for all. That's the story about Michigan. That's why we've got this rich diversity that other states would love to have. People came here from around the world for opportunity and a good life, and that's what you can find today in Michigan. And I think that's really something that I hope people walk away with, and that my fellow Michiganders, show a little swagger.
Hey there, Andrew from Marquette in the Upper Peninsula, which is much closer to Green Bay, where the draft is next year. So what do you hope people in that area watching on TV this weekend notice and maybe take as they're planning a visit next year? I love the comment about the Saturday, that family atmosphere.
Sure, they may one-up this weather on the cold factor, so but as we say, football weather, even if it's snowing at Lambeau next year. I think that's the beauty of the system. We try to get better every year and learn from each other. I'd say the Detroit team has learned from multiple drafts, and you come in and then you make it your own. That Green Bay draft, just like this Detroit draft, is going to be distinct, on that Lambeau Titletown campus, and very different. The smallest city we've ever hosted a draft in. But that's amazing because so many people have never set foot in Lambeau Field to have a chance to do that. This has become, without overstating it, a bit of a pilgrimage for NFL fans across the country who will make that pilgrimage to Detroit over the next 3 days. So I think it's looking at the little touches, not just the big glitzy TV pieces, but what are the little touches that you see here that then you can make your own and make authentic to what Green Bay and Wisconsin is all about. And the Detroit team and the Michigan team has done that in spades here in terms of making this unique and special to this incredible city.
How do you
It was interesting. To the previous question, I was thinking about on emotion, and the emotion that comes to mind around the draft, but in many ways around the NFL overall, is hope. That's the word that comes to mind around this event. Everybody gets better on draft day, so it's hope for teams, it's hope for fans. Nobody walks away saying we lost. Plenty of debates on whether that was the right pick, but it's about hope, and we've got a model in the league that's got incredible parity. And a team could go from worst to first in their division. The Texans did it last year. So it's grounded in hope. Every year starts anew. And without being Pollyanna here, the draft is about that. It's kind of hope springs eternal, where the weather's starting to turn, the new season's upon us. We've all got hope. And that's so key to success, that you've got a chance every year to be holding that Lombardi trophy.
And I also would think, to add to that, is that no other sport has, like, where your third round pick is expected to come in and start and contribute and do stuff. Our fourth round pick this year, his fourth round pick, he picked off a pass and ran it for a touchdown in the opening game of the season, and he's like, fourth round, huh? Here I am, leading on national television. I think that every team, your first round pick, you expect to be a superstar, second round pick to be a real contributor, third round pick to be a starter. So there's no other sport that has that. In baseball, you draft somebody in the first round, you expect, well, in 5 or 6 years, he'll be on our team.
We have a fourth round pick today who is having a very good day.
Good for Amara. Which is awesome. And I just underscore, we're also fortunate to have such passionate college football fans around the country. College baseball is great, but I'm not sure there's a lot of knowledge of kind of who that pick is, even in the first round. So that great marriage, which this event is at the center of college football passion and NFL passion coming together, that's pretty unique. And this weekend we'll celebrate that in a big way.
So as we wrap up here, I just want to ask one final question to all of you. Governor, I saw earlier today you posted a video of you drawing the Detroit Lions logo. Very, very well done. It was very well done. You wore the Lions jersey. This whole year, there's been so much excitement about this team. What has this year been like to have this level of support for the Lions, to see the city rally around a team like this and just find themselves with this team?
Well, you said it earlier. We all knew this was going to happen, right? But I think in our gut, we knew that this city, this team was on the upswing. And I gave my State of the State last year. I wore my grit hat on the way out, and people thought, okay, the Lions have been kind of a punchline for a while, and now they are dominating. And so I didn't know this was going to happen, I'll be honest, but I couldn't be more thrilled, because I think it just is such a great lesson to the world that you keep working, you don't get distracted by the drama, and you try to solve problems and build a team, and that's how you win. So it's really exciting. I went to a lot of Lions games over the years. My grandparents lived in Pontiac, and every Thanksgiving we were at the Silver Dome, and we'd watch the Lions lose, and then we'd go eat dinner. Not anymore, baby. It's totally different, and it's so fun to see everyone rally. So this is going to be a great week here.
Claude?
And a great year.
2 years ago, my son and I went to New England to see the Lions play the Patriots, and we got pasted 29-0, and it's put our record at 1-6. And I saw Lomas Brown on the way. I was like, can it get any worse? Like, this is so demoralizing. And to then rally the rest of the season, only lose one more game and barely miss the playoffs. And then last year's incredible run. And, as I travel the country, I can tell you that, from events, my counterparts in other cities are like, I'm so rooting for the Lions. They're my second favorite team. I love what their guys are doing. They're so much fun. The coach is a maniac. They never punt. They score 45 points. They give up 42 points. You can't watch. I mean, it's just must watch. And so it was just such a great ride. And, when they got finally eliminated, I was just, we could take a breath though, calm down a little.
And Peter, from the NFL's perspective, what has it been like to see the Lions have this reemergence?
I mean, it's amazing to see a storied franchise, and you did see it coming. We did see it coming because there's great leadership there. Sheila and Rod have done an incredible job with the team. Obviously, Coach Campbell brings an incredible energy, and just even leading up, like Hard Knocks, kind of the storytelling, getting to know the nation, getting to know a lot of these people and who they are as humans beyond on the field. you felt that building, and all of us felt it. And then just to see, I was in Las Vegas getting ready for the Super Bowl and watching and seeing the crowd at Ford Field during that NFC Championship game as a viewing party. That's special. That's a special fan base coming out and rocking in Ford Field. So that's what we want to see. There's so many passionate fan bases across the NFL. This one is having a moment, and it'll continue to. I know that's for sure.
Councilman?
So for me, I've never been a football fan. I love basketball more so. And considering the Pistons season, probably one of the reasons I migrated. Short story, I was standing on Randolph and I saw the Lions bandwagon roll by and I ran after it and hopped on. I'm not getting off anymore. So, but going to the game, just the energy of the fans and just the whole town. We had residents calling and saying, hey, it is taking me 2 hours to get off of Woodward. And I'm like, well, that's actually a good problem for me. But to just see just the energy come down, everybody supporting our local businesses is great. But the team, if you had the opportunity to meet the players, and I know a few of the players and even some of the coaching staff, I mean, they're just really genuine people. They love this city. They love the people in the city. And I think that's why they play so hard. When you play in the city of Detroit, based off of its residents, their history, and what they've been through, I think that inspires them to play even harder. And then it comes full circle. It inspires us to go and move forward and support them. And so I'm excited to see it. I don't know who the draft pick is going to be. I'm not that deep into football, but I hope it's a good one.
Well, we want to thank all of you for coming today. Thank you, Governor Whitmer. Thank you, Claude, Peter. Councilman, thank you very much for coming. Peter, we look forward to seeing you in January as we host the NFC Championship game, so the NFL will be welcome back to Detroit.
Hey, it'll be great.
Thank you all for coming today. Enjoy the rest of the week, and proud to be from Detroit. Thank you.